This will be a short one. I'm going to show my unwrapping of the UV map on the Vega model here, or the Vega interior model specifically. And this probably will not be the final UV map, actually. And the process is really simple. You select everything, provided that everything is the same material and you want to map everything. Then you hit U, you get your contextual menu to unwrap, and then you go to your UV editing screen. So you get that with the little menu on the far lower left there. And there it is. And some of the vertices are selected because that's left over from when I did the map for the body. Because as you recall, I built the interior model off the body model. So I've deselected those. And if you notice, for some reason, the Blender has put everything down on the lower left almost. So I'm going to spread these out later, and that's why I say this probably isn't the final model. But in the meantime, I'm going to export this existing one, and we'll take a look at it in Gimp next. If I'm not mistaken, years ago Blender would always export these as targas, but now it's exporting them as PNG files, which still work. Going back to the main screen there. Of course, you can also select individual parts of these maps once you've exported them, or rather unwrapped them, so that you can tell what is what on the UV map. So you select them in the 3D view, and then you go to the UV view to see if it's selected. Now, of course, I'm also taking the precaution here of assigning the UV map, or rather my initial texture, to the material. And I'm doing this because if I make this into a trains scenery model, it won't work otherwise. So I have to remember that little glitch of Oron trains, that just because I made a UV map doesn't mean that it's assigned to the material that I thought I assigned it to. And these menus, I think, even now, are a bit confusing. Maybe a little bit too complicated for what is a pretty basic task. So you can see all the different options here. And basically, you notice the checkered pattern is missing from the interior material. So I have to add it by simply adding my UV map texture, which of course will not be the final texture. That will simply be the basis for the texture, but in the meantime, it's a placeholder. So I find the UV map image here. There it is. And I will now assign that to the UV map. Again, this seems like a redundant step to me. I think maybe Blender could be redesigned to handle this a little bit more easily. But in any case, I will now jump over to Gimp to take a look at that texture when it actually looks like as an image file. So there's Gimp. And I'm going to first of all get rid of that transparency. Not the alpha channel, but the transparency, because I've never found it to be very useful. I understand why they do it this way, though, because a lot of people want this to be an overlay to their texture rather than the other way around. But if you see, you can see the locations of all those different parts. I want to spread those out subsequently and then label them in the parts of the texture which are not visible on the model. I've learned that from developers who work on Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's a handy trick. And so I will demonstrate that in a later tutorial. But in the meantime, I wanted to take a look at this to make sure it actually worked. And in the process, I get to show you how it's supposed to look. And that's it. Thanks for watching.